I'm Ellie Mole from Sunderland. Should I say what I do for a job?
Yeah, what do you do?
I work for the NHS.
So that's the National Health Service here.
Oh yeah.
What do you do for the NHS?
I've just started as it's a bit risky me being here, to be honest, because I've just started a job as a learning disability and autism expert advisor, which means that I have autism myself and I go and help other people kind of think out of the box and educate just medical professionals and write training and things like that for them.
Thank you.
So,
all right, so let's go back to your earliest memory and what happened to you.
Yeah. Well, I was a normal baby, even though I don't like that word. I didn't have any allergies. My dad used to say that I would eat like mild curries and things like that, and kind of like quite a lot of different foods. I've just gone blind because I've looked at that.
Right, do you want to put these on? No.
It's all right. It's all right because it'll distract us as well.
Can we turn the light a bit from her?
It's alright. I'll just not look straight at it again, like an idiot. Yeah. See, this is like. I know you said you couldn't see the autism, but like.
Is that better?
It's there. It's just hard for us. Yeah, that's great. For us to get things out in the right order and stuff like that.
You're doing really well.
So yeah, I was kind of didn't have any issues as a baby at all, and then my brother was born when I was 18 months, and I started to get. I don't know if I toe walked before that, but I definitely toe walked after that, and ever since. And I got loads of allergies and things, although they didn't do any like tests to see what I was allergic to, but they would come up with things like, oh, I think it's orange juice or whatever, and then I would not be allowed orange juice, and I got really, really severe eczema, like to the point where I was hospitalised a few times and things, because it was just from like here downwards. I just had no skin basically ever. I just used to scratch it all off. I don't know whether that was, I think part of it was the allergy thing, so I had a bit of eczema, and the other half was almost like a self-harm type of thing, like, because my behaviour wasn't outwardly bad or anything, but the frustration, I still felt that frustration that outwardly kind of outward behaviour shows in boys. I think the girls tend to take it inwards and they get more physical health problems for it. So basically at 18 months I was completely covered in eczema, top to bottom. Was on steroid cream for about 5 years.
How old are you now?
After that, I'm 31 now. So I managed to wean myself off the steroid cream eventually, and now all I use is coconut oil and a little tiny bit of steroid cream when it starts to like happen. That coconut oil.
Coconut oil.
Yeah,
it's right here.
yeah. Like, and I mean, I tried everything, like, you know, cream wise, and it never did anything. Everything would just make everything worse. And like over the years, my mum would take me to the doctors, and I would be asking like, why have I got this eczema? What is it? Because it's not normal eczema. Like I would see other kids at the eczema.
So you never lost your
clinics and
speech?
Stuff. No, never not lost any speech. It was kind of like an early speaker and walked about on time and things like that. There was no like physical issues that you would think like, you know, that's it.
Does your mum
apart
think
from the autoimmune?
Does your mum think the vaccines played a part in this?
Well, I've only just started to introduce it to the idea, but I think she was just so into the eczema thing and her whole life basically, because I didn't sleep either. I never used to sleep at all, like maximum 4 hours a night I think. So I think her life was revolving around putting cream on, just keeping me like from getting infections and things basically. So I don't think she really thought about what was causing it. She was just in it. And she was a healthcare professional as well. She's retired now, so I think it's very hard for her to get her head around the idea that might be what's kind of caused my
And so what's made you
problems.
look at this now? What's made you think that may be the problem?
Well, because I have a lot of allergies that were diagnosed like by blood tests and things when I was about 17. And they didn't make much sense because one of them was a peanut allergy, and I grew up on peanut butter and jam sandwiches. It was because my diet was very restricted as well after that 18 months. I used to eat like curries and things, like my dad used to say. I used to eat all sorts of things, and then after 18 months I just wouldn't eat anything really, and I used to eat peanut butter and jam sandwiches every single day for school. And then one Christmas, it was probably when I was about 15, so I think that was probably after a set of vaccines, I just got really, really sick whenever I even thought about peanuts. And I just, like, I ate some and I just was sick straight away. And I just thought this is really odd because it was like my favourite food for my whole life. And then when I was 17, like 2 years after that, after 2 years of just not eating it because I knew it was bad, I've got quite a lot of kind of, you know, a sixth sense about what I can touch, what I can eat, those type of things because of the sensitivity.
So when did you get your diagnosis?
The autism diagnosis wasn't until I was about 28. And
so is it Asperger's?
No, they don't diagnose Asperger's anymore. It's ASD, so it's the whole spectrum. So although I don't look autistic, I have all the autistic things. I've got massive executive function difficulties, like organising myself, being able to do things like, you know, remember a list of more than 2 things. Unless I have like background to it, I need all of the detail about every single situation basically to be able to like understand the things that other people automatically just like pick up. Mm-hmm. Like I got kind of A's in school, but when I got to year 9, I didn't know that the next 2 years I was going to be doing GCSEs, but that's something that all of the rest of the kids automatically knew. They knew older kids. Do you know what I mean? It was like I would get all A's in school and I could do all the schoolwork, but I missed things that like I should have automatically just picked up in a social way. And like when I learnt to drive, I was fine with the actual driving because I'd been very obsessed with kind of like the road signs and things like that when I was little, and just learning everything, like just massive information overload. And I think it's out of 52 the test that you do to be able to take the driving test. I got like 52 out of 52 or something. But then I realised when I was out on the road that I hadn't even thought about the fact people wave to say thank you when you, like, you know, I hadn't noticed any of the social things about driving. And they're the things that I found really difficult, but the actual driving was easy. There's like things like that which don't seem big. Friends, I had the same friends all the way through school, and they're all kind of, you know, this end of the spectrum. They're kind of, you know, kind of how autism is a spectrum, but like some people you can instantly tell, and most of those people have very severe like physical problems as well. But the people who don't, they're kind of like it's broader autistic phenotypes, I call them BAPs. So all of my friends that I've had are kind of on that end of the spectrum, but they don't have the same physical problems, and it's the physical problems that's disabling really about it, because the other things you can make up for a little bit, but the physical damage, you can't get over that. Like,
you
can't make up for it.
Massive
gut problems, and I always have. But I thought they were normal as well. So I was telling somebody earlier, it's a bit embarrassing, but I learnt to burp when I was about 15. Like, I taught myself how to burp, because if I would burp naturally, I would just be sick in my mouth. But I didn't know that was like a medical condition. It was because it was normal for me. I went to camp once, it was 10 days at one camp and 3 weeks at another, and I didn't go to the toilet throughout that entire time, and not even once. And I didn't know you could like die from that. But for me, that was just totally normal. The only time I could ever go to the toilet is if I was like hidden in the toilet upstairs, away from everybody else. Like, and I think because my childhood home had lots of floors, and the toilet was like right at the top floor, and my bedroom was very separate from where my parents would be. I think that helped me kind of hide the autism quite a lot, because I wasn't having to be in a small space with people, and I can't ask for help. Like I think that's part of the autism thing as well. I just can't ask for help from anyone, so I wouldn't tell my parents about any of the physical problems. They already had enough to deal with the eczema and the immune problems, that I just would never tell them any of this. So it was only when I got older and I thought, yeah, it wasn't normal to not go to the toilet for like 4 or 5 weeks or whatever.
Have you had help for that now, that issue?
No, well, that's an interesting thing as well, because I've been to the GP and they've diagnosed me with IBS. But I did manage to get it in to the gastroenterologist, who denied that I would need anything, and she said, oh no, I think it's very unlikely that you actually have any inflammation, because the inflammation markers come up as not very high, even though I'm allergic to everything and I'm inflamed and like all day, every day. I've never had high inflammation markers for anything. So she said, oh no, I wouldn't recommend a colonoscopy or anything. And I was like, well, I think I've got high chance of having these things because of the autism. That makes me much higher to have these things. She didn't know anything about it at all, but she did write it in the notes that were sent back to the GP. So I went back to the GP and said, well, I just can't live like this. I was in so much pain all day, every day. I was like, I would go out and I would act normal, and it was fine, which is what the girls can do. And then I went home and I would just lie on a chair or lie flat on the floor on my belly. I just couldn't function at all, like out of the public eye. And I was just in so much pain all the time. I still kind of am, but since I went gluten-free a few weeks ago, it has improved. Like,
are you just gluten-free?
Yeah, because I'm allergic to so many foods that, I mean, I can't eat salad. Like, I can't eat anything raw at all. So the only thing that I could eat out of the house was like chips and beige foods and things. So going gluten-free.
So chips are fries, America. She's talking about she can eat fries.
Yeah.
Okay. I think there's a lot of people that are going to want to help you.
Yeah, hopefully. That would be nice.
Are you on Facebook? Would you mind if people contacted you?
That's
you don't
fine.
have to be friends with them.
It's fine. I'm just really, really bad at getting in touch with anybody. That's part of the autism thing as well. Like, I can't use the phone very well, and when people try and contact me, they just can't get a reply, basically. So I will, like, it would be nice if people want to contact me. I can't guarantee that I'll be able to reply.
But at least you'll read
really hard,
what they're saying.
Oh, definitely. Like, and I'm very, very interested in my job as well. You know, people don't talk about the vaccine side of things or the chemical side of autism, that is, everybody's chemically sensitive, and I'm trying to kind of make people see that that is part of it. It's not all of it, because I do think it's a genetic thing, but that's the predisposition to those things, like harming the broader autistic phenotype people. The physical issues come from the environmental things, like vaccines included. People always say, like, don't, like, they'll believe, like, the autistic population, kind of the community, get very angry about the vaccine issue, the adults, and they're willing to admit that we have more gastro issues than other people. They're willing to admit that we have much more chemical sensitivity to everything, but they won't extend that to the vaccinations as well, which doesn't make any sense to me, because if you're allergic to almost everything in the world, you're probably quite likely to be allergic to what's in those vaccines as well. But no one will put those two things together, and I haven't tried to talk about it at work so far, but because I've been in the autism field for a while and people know how I feel about that, they will come to me and say, oh, you know, my sons were fine until the MMR, and like, people will tell me things like that. But since I've been working in the autism field, like, officially, nobody talks about it. Nobody, like, nobody really wants to know about autism, to be honest. I don't think, like, they are trying now, but I think that just the lack of knowledge and the lack of wanting to find out what's going on is still there.
Do you have any advice for parents who, all different, as you know, the spectrum is big.
Yeah.
Obviously, especially for the ones who have non-verbal children.
Yeah.
And they can't, I mean, for example, somebody with autism once told me, make sure you tell your son, so for example, if you say we're going on vacation, my other children would naturally know that means we're coming back.
Yeah.
But they said, make sure you say to Billy, we're going on vacation and we're coming back home again in 2 weeks' time.
Don't assume that they've got the things that are very obvious to other people, because they'll probably understand the very complicated things, but they won't have picked up the things that everybody naturally picks up, like, you know, that a vacation means that you're coming back. They might have seen people on vacation in photos and think that's where they live now or something. You can't assume that they know that stuff. Oh, can I just go back to the gut issue thing?
Please.
When I went back to the GP and they diagnosed me with IBS, I needed something for it, and she tried to give me something that had peanut oil in, even though I'm allergic to peanuts, and obviously that could have killed me. And I went back. She was very annoyed about the fact that I'd gone back because I couldn't take the only option that they'd given me, and she tried to give me another one, and that one had peanut oil in as well as a it's not an adjuvant, is it? It's the ones that extend the life of the, like, it was basically peppermint with peanut oil added in to make it like extend the life of it. I can't remember the word. Someone will probably know on there.
Preservative, someone just said.
No, it like it extends the use of the thing. No,
there's something in the
it like attaches. Suzanne will know. Like,
we'll ask Suzanne
attaches.
So
it attaches
what
something.
Happened?
And she was very annoyed that I'd discovered that one had peanut oil in as well, and said, "Oh, I'm just going to have to go to the pharmacy." And I went there, and the only other option that the pharmacist could find was one that had aspirin in, and I'm allergic to aspirin as well. So that was it, basically. That was my treatment.
Why was she annoyed that you did the research that saved your life?
Because she'd made a mistake and I'd pointed it out. And that's basically my entire history with GPs. From being really, really little, I've pointed things out to them that aren't right, and they've come back and just got really annoyed about me. I think because of the autism effect as well, it makes you look like you don't care, it makes you look like you're being very direct and things like that. They don't like that because it's like a power thing, like, because I don't automatically respect the hierarchy. They don't like it.
So for those that don't know what a GP is, a general practitioner, they're doctors that you go to and they specialise in nothing, literally nothing, and they're the same, they treat them the same as American paediatricians because they just vaccinate and give you drugs and give you bad advice.
Yeah, and I would go and say things like, because I would go outside, like there was periods in my life that the physical things have changed, like from one thing to the other, but there's always been a massive issue somewhere. And I would go to the GP and say things like, you know, it's in springtime in Sunderland, so there's no sun there, like no sun at all. I would go outside and I would burn within 5 minutes, literally straight away. I would be completely burnt. And I would go to the GP, and they would say, but you're pale, that's why. And I would go, well, I know that I'm pale, like I know that I'm pale. But that's got nothing to do with it. Pale people don't burn instantly as soon as they walk outside. And then they would like lie to me because I had light treatment earlier on, and they would like, I said, well, I started on a really, really low dose because the nurse would show me, I would make them show me the graphs where I was starting because I knew I was reacting to everything. They would show me where I was starting. The GPs would just completely say the opposite to that I started on a normal level and that it was completely fine, that I ended up like a lobster with no skin after it. They would just use every single excuse, and every time I came up with something they would backtrack, and that's my history with doctors basically. it's really hard to trust them. And I went, because I'm infertile as well, for 7 years so far.
What was the
so-
last vaccine? You haven't had the HPV?
No, I haven't had any vaccines since school. I wouldn't.
Okay.
I just wouldn't do. I knew that there was
What were the
something
last
about
ones you
them.
had?
When I was 14, and then stopped eating peanuts.
But you don't know what they
I
are.
don't
'cause
know
she
what they
hasn't had-
were.
So Periscope, she does not have her medical record. She's trying to get them right now.
Yeah.
So she does not know the vaccines that she's
I
had.
find it really difficult to do things like that, like contacting people, sending letters, getting people to do things like that, and they're being very kind of, oh, you have to get in touch with this person, or you have to do this, or you have to send a letter here, and I can't do those things, but they're not willing to make any reasonable adjustments or sit down and help me with getting them. They're very, like, as soon as you mention getting them, the nurses will run out of the room, like really scared, and go and talk to the practice manager or whatever, and then come back and say, oh, it's fine, you can get them, but you have to do this. And I just feel like there's something on there that they don't they don't want me to know, because there's lots of things that have happened like throughout my life.
And you don't need
I
Hep B for your work?
I haven't been asked to have any vaccinations or anything like that. No.
Well, is there anything else you'd like to tell the people? They love you very much.
Um,
And wait, what's your name on Facebook again?
it's Ellie Mole.
How do you spell that?
ELLIE MOLE.
Ellie Mole.
Mole, yeah.
Okay, so they'll contact. And is there a picture of you on there so they know who you are?
Yeah, there's a picture, I think. Yeah, you'll see the hair anyway, the red hair. I don't
What?
think there's many Ellie Moles anyway.
So just to finish up here, what daily struggles do you, as a 31-year-old, do you still have now?
I've got the executive function of technically a 2-year-old when I worked out the things that 2-year-olds can do, like remember a list of 2 things, like you tell them to go and do things, they'll remember one and then they'll remember the other. I'll only remember one, so if I have to run upstairs and get something, it will take me 3 attempts before I realise what I was supposed to get. Putting things in order and keeping my words so that they're actually relevant, and only what's needed. I just can't do that, as you can probably tell. I struggle hugely with like the things that other people learn to do when they move away and to be independent, like housework, paying bills, like contacting call centres, and just all the things you have to do as an adult who lives independently, basically. Those are the things that I can't do. But when it comes to the high level things, the like learning about medical things or whatever, I'm able to do them straight away. But the other things, the basic function and things that you need just to survive, like feed myself, dress myself, I just can't do those things. So like my fiance has dyspraxia as well, and he works away all the time, so he can't make up for the things that I can't do. So it's very, very difficult for both of us living not able to do those things. And there's no help for things like that. If you've got an IQ of over 70 in England, I don't know what it's like in Scotland, other places. If you've got an IQ of over 70, you're not entitled to any help at all with autism, like at all, unless you're so violent that you need to be an inpatient. There's literally nothing at all for people here. They are starting to introduce things, but there's no help for people like me, where I seem like I can do a lot, but obviously I can't. And obviously, like I said, the gastro issues and things is just such a massive problem for me that it stops me from having a normal career. It stops me from being able to try and make up for the things that I can't do. I used to make up for it by just not sleeping and just keeping going and spending more time doing those things. But now I'm older, I just haven't got the energy anymore. I can't make up for it anymore. So
Well, you're an amazing advocate for our children. Thank you, and you're in the right field. And
yeah, I love it because I don't see any difference, you know, in the functioning levels. I just don't see any difference. Like, I can look at somebody who's flapping and I think, oh, if I was doing that, it's because I feel like this, and I can feel the feelings that they're feeling. So one thing I would, honestly, I know there's a bit of tension between the adults with autism and the parents of people with autism, but like, we need to come together because the adults know what the children are going through. They're able to pick out exactly why they're doing those behaviours, exactly how they feel in that moment, and they can explain it to the parents. But there's just this divide between the two, like, it's autism politics basically, and I can understand why it's there, because the adults know that they've got talents that other people haven't, so they obviously want to focus on that, whereas the parents are having to be warriors all day every day, and they have to talk about the negative things all day, otherwise people just don't appreciate that. And then you've got these two different sides. One says autism's amazing, the other one says autism's a curse. Like, I think it's somewhere in the middle. There's the genetics. These people would have been able to not conform, not be brainwashed as easily, but because they've got the physical injuries from allergies, immune issues, vaccines, they're not able to come across in the way that they would have, or make an impact on society in the way that they would have. And if people realise that these two things are the same thing, like, the community could come together and help each other.
You're right, you're absolutely right. But I think as a parent, you see, the problem is that none of us are saying that our children aren't gifts.
Yeah,
But the
I know.
injury is not okay.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Not fair.
Exactly. And that adults with autism, I just don't think they understand that you see the positives as well, like, but you see your child in pain, like, and it is physical pain, and other people can't see that as well. So I don't look like I'm in pain a lot of the time, but I always have been. That was normal for me. So, you know, I never cried and things like that, whereas the parents see all of that and they know instinctively that their child is not well, that it's a physical, like, damage. It doesn't mean that they are damaged, it just means that there is an injury from a physical thing that's made them unable to live their life in the way that they would have. It's both, but like, the two sides won't come together. I'll probably get a bit of a backlash from other
everybody's
autistic,
loving it. No, they're loving it. So
people,
far
but
on our social media, they absolutely adore you, and they're very grateful to you for what you're doing.
yeah.
So you're getting married?
Yes, I am.
Because I was just sitting here thinking, well, she'd be perfect for a no. They're getting married. Well, congratulations.
I'm unavailable.